Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Snuggles and Storytime. My name is Amanda, and I'm so glad you could join me today. Today, we're going to talk about something really important, something called Black History Month. Have you ever heard of that before? I can't wait to tell you all about it. But before we get started, let's sing hello. Are you ready? Put your hands up so you can join me. Here we go. Hello, all my friends, how are you? Hello, all my friends, how are you? With the jiggle, 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 and a wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Hello, all my friends, how are you? I am so glad to see you today. February is a special month. Did you know that? It's a short month, but it's also something called Black History Month. And that's important because a long time ago, people in America didn't really think that if you had skin that was kind of brown or maybe dark brown or maybe even black, they thought if you had skin that looked like that you weren't very important. Can you believe that? They were so wrong. It doesn't matter what color the skin we have is. There are people who do amazing things. And they invented or created Black History Month to honor all the amazing contributions or ways that they helped our world. The Black people or the Black culture has different colored skin. Sometimes it's a little bit yellow, sometimes it's brown, sometimes it's dark brown, sometimes it's black, sometimes it might even look like my skin. But that means if they're Black, if we say they're in the Black culture, it means they have a part of them that has ties back to Africa and special things that make their culture unique. It's really tough to describe, but the importance of Black History Month is that we remember the amazing things that they did because they did amazing things. So this is going to be my first video, and I'm going to have a second one that's going to talk about some of the people. But today, I'm going to share with you this book. It's called The ABCs of Black History, because this is going to give us a good idea or foundation as to some of the things that people were upset about and some of the things and ways that people helped make a difference. Because you'll see all of the things that are in here we now see in our daily lives. It's a pretty great book, but it's a little bit long, so be ready. It has the ABCs in it, though, so you know what's coming. It's written by Rio Cortez, and it's illustrated, or the pictures are by Lauren Semmer. Are you ready? It's a great book. Beautiful pictures. I think you're going to like it. Here's the first one. A is for anthem, a banner of song that wraps us in hope, lets us know we belong. We lift up our voices, lift them and sing. From stages and street corners, let freedom ring. So the banner says, let us march on till victory is won. So in the Black culture, a lot of people had to fight to be treated fairly, to be treated like they were anybody else. People used to think that if you had a different color skin, you weren't important, and that's not true at all. So a lot of times people in the Black culture, they had to fight just to be treated the same as you or me. It's sad that they had to fight so hard for so long, but that fight that they had, that makes them who they are. They're very strong people. B is for beautiful. I'm talking to you. Your voice, your height, your hair, your hue. Your hue is like your color, your shade. See all these people, how they have a little bit different skin tone? Yep, that's their hue. All of these people would be known as a part of the Black community. That's what they think. That's what they've been told. B is for brave, for bright, and for bold, for those who stood up even when they were told to step back or stand down or remember their place. B is for brotherhood, for believing in grace. So they had to be really strong and stand up and say, that's not fair. I need to be treated nicely. And they did. They had to fight really hard for that. It's tough to believe, but they did. People used to treat people who had different skin colors very poorly. C is for community, where we live, laugh, and eat. And for church, where we worship, mourn, sing, and meet. Did you hear Reverend King preach on his dream of civil rights, human rights? A powerful theme. So do you remember Martin Luther King Jr.? We read about him. He was a preacher, so he taught in a church, and he had so much hope for the people in the Black community. He wanted them to be treated fairly, and he was a big supporter of that movement. So he helped tell a lot of people that message. D is for oh goodness, I said it wrong. Diaspora. Pulled from our homes, we were carried away in ships on the foam to Haiti, Cuba, America, and Brazil. Our names are different, new, but still. We are connected, then, now, forevermore, to that long ago, far away Africa shore. So a long time ago, there was some fighting in Africa. And what happened was the team that lost, there were people from other places that would come and take all those people and put them on ships. And they were made to be slaves, which means you have to do exactly what somebody else says, or you can be in big, big trouble. So they would take people from Africa where they lived, and they might bring them to Eurasia, which is this part up here. It's a whole bunch of countries. Or they might bring them to South America, or they might bring them to the United States, all kinds of places. Can you imagine having a big fight with somebody, and then all of a sudden somebody comes on a boat and takes you away from your home? Would you be scared? I would be scared. It was not very good at all. E is for explore, to study a place. Like Matthew Henson, he explored the Arctic, and Mae Jemison in space. E is for education, for expanding the mind, like Ruby Bridges, Linda Brown, and the Little Rock Nine. The first Black children in all white schools. They opened the doors and changed the rules. Did you know that a long time ago, there were different schools if you looked different? So if you had white skin, you went to one school. If you had darker skin, like this little girl, this is Ruby Bridges, then you went to a different school. They thought that this little girl couldn't go to school with me because bad things would happen. Isn't that weird? People did not think very much back then. They had a lot of confused ideas. They thought the skin color that you had changed how smart you were or how kind you were. And that's not the truth. F is for food, grown and farmed with our hands, worked and tilled and pulled from the land. For fried fish, ham hocks, warm buttermilk bread, or maybe the sharp taste of mustard instead. F is for folklore by the light of the moon, for family and for freedom and for jumping the broom. So in the Black culture, they do a lot of storytelling. And they also do this thing called jumping the broom. When people were in slavery, when they were like held and they couldn't do whatever they wanted, that's how they would get married. They would jump the broom. They would hold hands together and they would jump the broom. And then all of a sudden, those two people were married. Pretty cool. Sometimes people still do that today. If you're in the Black culture and you get married, you might jump the broom. That's what they choose to do. G is for go. Towards cities we are bound for the great migration from country to town. From farming the land to the factory floor, we carried the blues on our backs, but not much more. So after the people in the black community weren't made to be slaves anymore. A lot of them got farms. But then something happened and they decided they would have a better life if they moved to the cities and worked in factories instead of a farm, because farming is tough work. And they thought they would have a better life if they moved to the factory. Do you think all that moving would make life really tough for them? Absolutely. H is for Harlem, those big city streets. We walked and we danced in our own jazzy beat. When Louie and Bessie and Duke owned the stage, and Langston and Zora, Nell, Hurston, the Page. So those are all artists and songwriters and all kinds of different things. They made Harlem come alive with life and music, and it was so exciting. So exciting to go and play and walk around and see all the fun. I is for imagine, invent, innovate, for all of the ways we are so creative. Here's Jean-Michel Basquiat. He was a famous artist. And here we have Gwendolyn Brooks. She wrote lots of great poetry. And here we have Alvin Ailey. He was big into yoga and movement. And we have Madam C.J. Walker. She did amazing things for taking care of your hair. She developed whole new products and different tools so that your hair could be as beautiful as possible. She was really amazing. And we have DJ Cool here. He did amazing things with music. And we have George Washington Carver. He was a great scientist. He had all kinds of amazing things. J is for Juneteenth. We are finally free. So on Juneteenth is when they did a celebration and they believed they were free from the slavery. Or so we hope in this moment of glee. J is for Javot, where the drummers drum. From Trinidad, Grenadine, and Haiti they come. So it's a big party. The black culture is full of color and liveliness and beautiful music, and they're big festivals because they celebrate all that is them. They are very proud of who they are. It's awesome. K is for kin, our family, our fathers and mothers, our ancestors, our elders, our sisters, and our brothers. K is for Kwanzaa, which honors that bond. Kwanzaa is a holiday that's close to Christmas, that's special for the people in the black culture. Not everybody in the black culture celebrates Kwanzaa, but many do. Ask Harabi Ghana, and we might respond with all these different words over here. They're all the different pillars or principles of Kwanzaa. So there's Kuki Jakalia, Ujama, Nia, Kuma, and Amani. Beautiful words. L is for love. L is for love. L is always for love. Are there lots of different people here? There are. And they all love. They are. See? And sometimes people don't all have dark or light skin. Like this person married somebody who is of the black culture. So they take on a little bit of that pride and ownership. They want to respect that because they're kids. They want to have them knowledgeable and grow up in that family of love. M is for march, for lifting our feet, taking the movement, the cause to the street. Black Lives Matter. Every breath, every dream, every thought, each idea, each impossible scheme. The might of our message is easy to hear. The drumbeat of hope is louder than fear. So they had to do a lot of fighting a long time ago, and they still have to do fighting because sometimes people do not make good choices and they still judge people by how their skin looks. And that's just not okay. So people still have to fight to be treated fairly. N is for newspapers. We started our own to tell our stories and let it be known. We deserved the front page. We deserved to be seen and also to be featured in sleek magazines. So remember how I said a lot of people had really confused thoughts about people who had different skin colors? That was even true in the newspapers and magazines. They wouldn't publish articles, they wouldn't put articles in about people who looked different. And they wouldn't have pictures of people who looked different because they thought, oh, they don't want to be in the paper. They aren't important. They shouldn't have this time and attention. Which is kind of ridiculous because there are people who do amazing things and it shouldn't matter what color their skin is. O is for organize, for getting together to sit in and boycott and make our lives better. Thank you, Fred Hampton. Thank you, Dinah Nash, for not being afraid of the possible clash with police and people who shouted and teased. Because of you, we can go where we please. So a long time ago, there were restaurants who had signs like this. Can you read what that says? Says whites only. And these restaurants decided that if you had skin that was brown or black or yellow, you couldn't go inside. You were just going to cause problems. You couldn't go inside. So they decided that wasn't fair. Can you imagine if you had different colored skin and you couldn't go to McDonald's because they thought you would cause problems? It just seems kind of ridiculous, doesn't it? Yeah, so they decided that's not fair. They want to be able to go to a restaurant and eat and be treated fairly too. So what they did was they had sit-ins. So they would sit by the wall or by the door and make it more challenging for people to ignore them because they couldn't go inside to the diner. They were refused service, it's called. But they helped make people aware that this isn't fair. P is for power. It's part of our core. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it must roar. Like a panther. Isn't that right, Huey P? Power for people like you and me. And who do you think has more power than most? The president. Obama was first to that post. But Shirley Chisholm, unbossed and unbought, came so much closer than most people thought. A black woman could, which just goes to show P is for possible. So glow on, child, glow. So President Obama was the first president of the United States that happened to be black. But a lot of people had to fight for that. And Shirley Chisholm was one of those people that fought for that. She had to fight to get her voice heard just like President Obama did. Even more so because she was a woman and she was black. And a lot of times people don't like to listen if you're different. Q is for queens. Behold and bow down. Shield your eyes from the shine of their crowns. So remember how in Africa there was fighting? There were a lot of queens in Africa too. And in the black culture, anybody who does amazing things and is well respected is referred to as a queen. So there are some queens on here, like Queen Amani and Queen Nefertiti. And then there are people who are not queens, but very well respected. So this person is Michelle Obama. She was very important. And this one is Angela Davis. She was very important. So anybody who's really important and really respected, that's a woman or a female, then they are called a queen. R is for rise, to reach for the top. Relentlessly striving, refusing to stop. Like ball players, boxers, and gymnasts who fly, sprinters and skaters who zoom right on by. Old records, old thinking, a sight to behold. They went for the win and they grabbed for the gold. So all these people won medals in the Olympics. They got gold medals. This person right here in that leotard, that's Gabby Douglas. She was a gymnast that was really important and influential very recently. And this guy up here in the boxing gloves, that's Muhammad Ali. He was a very important boxer, and he happened to be black. S is for scientists who chart the stars. They studied bees and took care of our hearts. For Benjamin Banker, Patricia Bath, and Katherine Johnson's beautiful math. So all these people did amazing things. We have somebody who worked for NASA who happened to be Black, and we had astronomers, people who looked at stars, all kinds of things. S is for soul, how sweet the sound, from the croon of Sam Cooke to the wail of James Brown. Brother Ray on the keys, Sister Thorpe dressed in mink, and Queen Aretha sang, You Better Think. So they had lots of different ways to spread their message of how important people can be and how much you can make a difference, regardless of what color skin you have. Very important. T is for Tuskegee, an all-Black school where students learned trades and toiled with tools. That's how we will rise, said boss Booker T. But another smart man didn't agree. W.E.B. Du Bois said, industry's fine, so factories are fine, but I think it's better to work with your mind. They had different ideas, but here's what is true. In their own ways, they were thinking of you. So they both had different ideas. They wanted people who were Black to be able to work in factories and do important jobs there. And they also said people who are Black can be great thinkers and have lots of great ideas to share. So it opened a whole world of possibilities up for people that before W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T, like that just doesn't exist for them before. It was pretty amazing. U is for the United States. This story is tough. The birth of a nation was quite deadly for us. A lot of people died when the United States was born because there was a lot of fighting and a lot of slaves were sent to do the fighting. They were killed very quickly. It's kind of sad. We the people in the land of the free, not those who were enslaved would agree. So if you were slaves and you were brought here not by your choice, you might not want to be here. And that's tough because it might make you feel kind of angry about that. And a lot of people, especially when they first came here, they felt just that way. They didn't want to be here. They didn't ask to be here. They were forced to be here. U is for unbroken, unshaken, unbound, like Harriet Tubman, who went underground. She made the Underground Railroad and helped people who were slaves get out and get free. I'm sorry, I forgot to keep reading. Take back her freedom and set hundreds more free. Then was a spy in the Great Civil War. But when the states were united again, the fight for our freedom and lives didn't end. So U is for unfinished. This American tale will courage and strength, we will prevail. So even though the people in the Black culture have made a lot of progress and a lot of change, and they're accepted a lot more, they're still not treated fairly all the time. So Black History Month is important to remember where we came from, where they came from, all their struggles, but also celebrate all the amazing things that they have done. And so they can look forward and figure out how they can continue to push that and how they can continue to be more accepted by people. V is for vote. Do you know what that means? For freedom to pick and choose as you please. The freedom to choose who makes the rules, who has the power, who gets the tools to make their lives better. That's why we fight. The freedom to vote is a true civil right. Do you know that back when the people that had Black and brown skin, they were slaves, they didn't let them vote. They didn't let them have a say because people thought they weren't smart enough to know any better, and they thought they were just uneducated and they were just kind of crazy, and it was just not for them to worry about, that everybody else should take care of it, and their voice didn't matter. People back in those days didn't know very much, did they? It's very sad to think of how misinformed they were. W is for writers, whose wisdom and words bring to life worlds where our voices are heard. Well, these are all different authors who make different books. Rappers and poets and songwriters too, all those who spin from our point of view. So it was a big deal when the writers who happened to be black were able to start publishing books, because before that, people didn't really care what their point of view was or understand why they were having a problem with how they were treated, because people didn't know any better. They didn't think that their point of view mattered, but it does, and we know that now. And when you know more, you have to do better. X is for Malcolm. Malik El-Shabazz, known as Red Malcolm Little El-Hajjah. So it's all the same person, but he changed his mind. Not his mind. He changed his name throughout his life. By any means necessary, he insisted on change. Starting with X, he reclaimed his name. So he changed his name as he went through life. At one point, he was a little boy. At one point, he was in jail. At one point, he was a great speaker. And then he became a great religious leader as well. Y is for young, gifted, and black, like Lady Lorraine, who never looked back. She wrote of big dreams in rooms so small, it's hard to believe they were dreamt at all. Lorraine and her work moved Nina Simone, so much that Nina made works of her own. Young, gifted, and black, a banner of song that wraps us in hope and lets us know we belong. So this person inspired this person to do amazing work. And they're both black. And that's why we celebrate them. Z is for zenith, the highest, the peak, the top of that mountain Martin Luther King said we could reach. He won't get us there, but we still march on, rising, rising like the sun with the dawn. So he won't be there with us because he's dead. But his words told us that we have to keep on shooting for that mountaintop. We have to keep fighting to be treated fairly. We have to keep fighting to have our voices heard, to be pushing the envelope as far as helping people understand that the people in the black culture are important and they need to be heard and treated fairly. And then the book ends with lots more details about all those different pictures that we had. Isn't that a great book? If you happen to have black or brown skin, I hope this book made you feel very proud of yourselves. I hope it did. I love people in the black culture. I think they are so powerful and passionate, and I think they have so much history and so much knowledge to share. I love learning from them. I hope you enjoyed this book. And if you did, I hope you come back to my next one so you can learn about some more important people that helped make Black History Month a possibility. I hope you had a great day, my friends, and I can't wait to see you next time. Until then, give yourself a great big hug to remind yourself that you are loved and you are cared for. I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye, my friends.